Guys, I'm on my way to meet the Capital. That's what they call cartel fighters. I'm being picked up by a man on a bike. Okay, that's it. I think that's my ride.
Hello.
Okay, we're on the bike. We're going through the regular part of Rio de Janeiro first, but our route goes into the favelas. That's it. We're moving away from the chic urban areas. The driver is driving fast, like a madman, between the cars, and he's saying that I can't film anymore. I have to turn the camera off. So I'm turning it off. Back where I was staying, I turned a small camera on in my backpack, just in case. They drop me off at one of the favelas and tell me to wait, and I rewatch this video later.
You're a blogger?
Yeah, I'm a blogger.
And can you prove it?
I can show you my channel. It's just normal life around here. In broad daylight, cartel members run my ID again. They tell me to wait at the convenience store next door.
That's it, we're good to go.
I try to film what I can and memorize the road, but in the winding streets of the favelas, it's almost impossible. We're going somewhere up north. We pass the red team's strongholds, the so-called Boca de Fumo. I told you about them in my last episode about Brazil. They're run by a huge number of heavily armed teenagers. Finally, we're pulling up. One of the fighters that's escorting me from behind goes and speeds off. I'm not allowed to film here yet?
No, not yet.
I thought we were already there, but now the fighters are taking me through the favelas on foot.
That's here where we're going. Tourists doesn't come, you know, because we're gonna see a lot of. You see the nicest house around over here? It's like that. That's here where we're going. Tourists doesn't come, you know, because we're gonna see a lot.
We stop a bunch of times, like we're waiting for something. Only later did I find out that the guys were checking to see if anyone was following me. They told me stories along the way.
And of us died on the war in another neighborhood.
Wow.
Yeah,
Somebody killed here?
Just today.
And this is the man who died? Yes?
Yeah.
Here we've come to a small house. It's really small, tiny. This is where the interview is gonna happen, but I can't talk long. I just left to go to the bathroom. Cartel members insisted I do the interview while using this blanket. Capital, who came for the interview, wore a balaclava, cap, and a hood. But deciding that this was not enough, he also covered his eyes with goggles. But we agreed at once that I would not show faces and would not name places or names.
Is this a real gun or it's a fake one?
Não, de verdade.
And it is with bullets?
Mostrar o pet.
Turns out he's also carrying a gun with a larger clip.
You modify it, yes? So it is longer. I saw that many guns here are modified. Yes?
Isso. Cabe mais bala, mais munição.
You have heavy weapons here. What is the biggest gun you have here?
A .50. A .50.
We were ready to start the interview.
I been getting to it when I'm up late. Hit it when you at the front gate. Act like that, no. Guess I gotta hit 'em with the update.
Today, we're going to compare the two main cities of Brazil, Rio de Janeiro and São Paulo, based on the stories of fighters from the two major cartels in these megacities.
We in Sao Paulo don't want war with anyone. But in Rio, it's different. There, they love all these little turf wars. We shoot up police armored vehicles, shoot down their helicopters. We got a lot of wild shit going on here.
All you need to know about Brazilian cartel behaviors.
How much money can you get?
Did you have to kill somebody?
If a girl loves a police boy.
Do you have children? May I ask you? Do you think your children will be part of the gang too?
Turn a 10-piece to a 20 quid. I got money busting out the money clip.
We're gonna walk through slums and places that are even worse than slums. Guys, we've come to something called Crackland.
Crackolândia.
We'll peek into Crackland, the crack kingdom that goes through the city, and we'll find out why the people of São Paulo are fleeing from luxury mansions and apartments. It's the same thing. Do you see this? An abandoned mansion that's become a homeless shelter. we'll go into a mansion like this. This is a huge, unique house. A huge house taken over by ordinary people. You know, it's funny that the owners, apparently rich owners, just left it. They just abandoned it. I'll tell you how they rob people in Brazil's largest metropolis, leading by example. Guys, I got mugged in Brazil. And then, where to find it all. I'm going to try and take a shot discreetly, but this is where all the stolen stuff is actually sold. And tonight, we're going to try all the street food in the Brazilian favelas. And we're going to one of the most beautiful places in the country for the weirdest hunt of my life, the crab hunt. And I'll show you how to eat them properly. Guys, I didn't know that you could actually eat crab heads. Guys, we're in Brazil, in a mangrove forest. We have crabs. We have everything we need. Prepare your stomachs and your nerves. Tonight, you're going to get a taste of the Brazilian cuisine like you've never tasted it before. Let's go.
Left side, you can see the nice apartments, but take a look at the beginning of this slum. Paraisópolis. It's the second largest slum in São Paulo.
With Brazilian journalist Renato, we traveled to the stronghold of the country's biggest cartel, and maybe the biggest cartel in the entire Latin America. The city of São Paulo has always been considered the crime capital of Brazil. Even by Latin American standards, it is so dangerous here that, for example, in 2024, professional American football players refuse to come here for a game.
Man, I do not want to go to Brazil. You want to know why? I'm here to tell you why. They already told us not to leave the hotel. They told us we can't do too much going on because the crime rate is crazy. You know what I'm saying?
Because we had a meeting yesterday, and it was like a whole bunch of don't do's, and so I'm just trying to go down there, win a football game, and come back home.
The entire city is controlled by one single cartel, Primeiro Comando de Capital, or the First Team. According to The Economist, it is Brazil's largest drug gang with branches around the world. It has 40,000 regular members and another 60,000 mercenaries. The First Team controls 50% of Brazil's drug exports, as well as the main port of Latin America, Santos. It's near São Paulo, and whole neighborhoods of the big city itself. We're headed to one of those. In Paraisópolis, a local guy, Igor, meets us. Despite his name, he has no ties with Russia. Russian names are generally popular in Brazil. Here, for example, in the favelas, there's a store called Yuri, apparently in honor of Yuri Gagarin.
Everything okay, Professor? You doing okay? Hey, how are you? You all right? I'll see you at practice today. I'll be there for sure. Well, we good? We good. All right, see you later.
Tell me where we are.
Onde a gente tá?
We're approaching the main staircase. This is one of the 36 entrances to Paraisópolis. The name comes from Paraiso, which means paradise, and polis, which means city. So you and I are going to Paradise City.
Actually, they love to deify favelas in Brazil. In Rio de Janeiro, for example, there's a slum neighborhood called City of God, which became world famous after a movie of the same name came out. Paraisópolis became world famous after this shot by photographer Tuca Vieira, which won a lot of prizes. Guys, this is not edited. On the right, there's a high-rise with palm trees, swimming pools on every balcony, and apartments for millions of dollars. And on the left, there are the favelas for poor people. All the contrasts of Brazil in one photo, and this photo is 20 years old. But even now, not much has changed. There are just more high-rises with swimming pools on the border of slums, and the favelas themselves have just become more packed. These are the luxury condos and golf courses, and Paraisópolis is right across the street. From above, it looks like a huge stain of slums among the expensive high-rises.
Now we're gonna turn left, and you can shoot there. You see that street? Just straight ahead and to the right. We're gonna turn around, and you only shoot straight ahead and to the right. Do not shoot to the left, okay?
Okay, guys, I've just been warned that when I walk, I can only film myself. I can shoot straight ahead like this, and I can shoot this way, but I can't shoot all the alleys this way. Because there's guys in those alleys doing their illegal stuff. And they've got, well, what have they got? Oh, yeah. There's, okay, yeah, those kids are going places. Oh, wow. Oh, there's a lot of pressure. What's going on in there?
Let's keep going, he'll tell you. Don't shoot here, keep going.
Okay, but why can't I film there?
I don't understand. He's asking why you can't film here. Because there are drug dealers in that area.
The favelas of São Paulo are very different from what I saw in Rio de Janeiro. There were teenagers there with machine guns and pistols on every corner. In São Paulo, you don't see guns on the streets. In general, at the entrance, the slums look more like a huge shopping street.
This is the center of Paraisópolis. Here we have shopping centers, stores, outlets. We have our own bank, our own market, our own pharmacies, all kinds of businesses. To open a store like this here would cost about 80,000 reals. In general, Paraisópolis attracts a lot of people because our neighborhood is very organized. We help each other out. And here you can do your business with confidence.
Here in a neighborhood that is considered super dangerous, there are even ATMs on the streets, and nobody's robbing them. There are law offices, finance companies, even their own office buildings.
You can't steal in the community. You can't steal in a favela. No one steals in the favela. That's one of the main rules.
But these rules, where do they come from?
The rules are set by Sector 4, the local community. As he says, the rules are set by Sector 4. So Sector 4 is what they call the drug cartel here.
These are the scouts. They stand at the intersection to make sure that no outsiders get into the neighborhood, especially police and intelligence agencies.
Don't film? Oh, sorry. I will close your face, don't worry.
Thanks, bro.
And if somebody steals here, if somebody robs here, what will happen to him?
What happens to robbers around here? Well, if someone gets caught here, first off, they just beat him up real bad. Something they'll remember for a long time. If he doesn't come to his senses, they'll just kill him. But of course, that all depends on who he robbed. Sometimes they'll kill him right away. It varies. But in general, you're usually given a choice. First time you screw up, you just get pummeled. The second time you screw up, you get maimed. And the third time, you're taken care of permanently. You know? That's how it is. Stealing is forbidden here, strictly forbidden. And that's why it's quiet, organized. Everyone is polite, respectful.
They need to respect the rules here, of course.
And now we go deep into Paraisópolis, where there are no more stores or offices, to meet one of the fighters of the first team.
Wow, this area differs a lot.
It's kind of like a bedroom community, and outsiders are completely off limits.
We're entering a neighborhood called Praça Nossa. That's what they call it here. It's the worst neighborhood in all our favelas. There's no more stores or even, well, sometimes there's no water supply or anything like that. Our favelas, like it or not, are zoned. All the rich part is concentrated over there, downtown. There's less business, people have less money, and they live in a more isolated fashion.
Não tienes. A proteção somos nós mesmos.
We provide all the security here. There's team fighters. They live here. But nobody pays them for protection. We just have our own protection. We're united.
Somos unidos.
Yeah, but this team that's protecting you, they've got guns and everything?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pero no.
Yeah, but they don't need to show that. They don't need to show their guns.
In Rio de Janeiro, security in the favelas is also only provided by the cartels, but each favela has its own cartel. It's forbidden to call the police.
The police can't come in here at all. If you steal here, we'll punish you. If you rape someone, we'll punish you even worse. We have our own laws, and we don't need no cowardly cops around here.
But what happens if somebody calls police?
That man is done for. They'll kick him the hell out of the favela, or they'll get him killed. It depends on the consequences. For example, if the police come here and kill one of ours, there's no coming back from that.
What happens, for example, if a girl loves a police boy? Like they have an affair. A girl from favela and the boy is police.
Well, she just have to leave the favela. I mean, otherwise, how are they gonna meet here? She could show him our secrets that shouldn't be known to outsiders. Or it would be easier for the police to infiltrate us.
We continue walking through Paraisópolis to São Paulo. At one point, we get stopped by the scouts.
Hey, what are you doing here with cameras? What are you saying? Who said you could come in here with cameras? Who's that guy with you filming around here? I have permission, it's okay. I don't know anything about your permission. I got permission, I'm escorting them.
If we were alone, the recordings would have been taken from us.
We're busted, put the camera down.
But in the end, they let me leave with Igor.
Can imagine if you don't have permission.
Yeah. But he came just to ask whether we have permission or not, yeah? Camera down? Camera down. Okay.
So here, unfortunately, I'm going to have to put my camera down almost everywhere because you can't film here. We're going to see a fighter from São Paulo's main cartel, the first team. I can't tell you all the details of how we got to him, but at one point, Igor left me to be taken to a safe house by other people who I could no longer film. A cartel fighter was waiting for me there. It took him a long time to choose a place, pulling on a hoodie and gloves and hiding his tattoos. Even though I promised to blur it all out, he was still worried because his life was obviously on the line.
You are a member of some cartel.
Yeah.
When did you join the cartel?
Faz muito tempo.
Years ago. About 17 years ago. At first, my position was just an errand boy. I had to look around, observe what was going on, report up the line, and so on. But then the responsibility grows, and so does your position in the cartel. You're given more and more important things to do. You can't steal here. You can't rob the locals. You can't disrespect the residents. You can't have abortions. You can't sleep with other people's wives. You can't do anything bad. We're like the government here. We're looking out for justice for all. What the real government doesn't do, we do instead. We give people food, medicine, gas, whatever they need. We're the only ones you can call. If you call the cops, we'll call you out on it. You're gonna have to tell us why you called the cops. Because when something happens, we're here to clean up the mess. We're here to make sure that nobody just beats anybody up or kills another person for no reason.
Do you collect money for your protection from people and stores?
No, we don't charge a penny. Everything is fair here. Everyone earns their own money, and we don't have to pay anything. And people don't pay for many other things. You don't pay here for water. You don't pay for gas. You don't have to pay for anything. Everyone has his own place, his own business, and no bribes.
So how do you make money?
We make money selling dope. It's like everywhere else in the world. Everyone does it.
Guys, tonight you're about to embark on the most extraordinary culinary journey imaginable. Prepare your bellies and your nerves. We're going to the favelas of Rio de Janeiro for a taste of all things delicious. Let's go. We're accompanied by Guillermo, a famous Brazilian blogger who makes videos about local food in different parts of the country. And by the way, the link to his channel will be in the description.
There are a lot of rich people that live in the favela that, own buildings, they rent it out, they own commercial establishments. So people have the wrong idea that they're only, poor people that live here, but they're just hard work people,
But can you explain why do people stay here even though they have money? Some of them have money.
Yeah, well, some of them that have money, they wanted to leave. The ones that don't want to leave is just because to maintain their roots and,
In the past, this land was just like captured, yes, taken by people. But now, can you just come and get some land here for free and to build something?
There's no more land, so you're not allowed to build something, right? You can buy or sell as long as you're the owner, but there's no more land to build. There's no more space. That's why if you pay attention of the architecture of this favela, it all built vertical, right? Because there's no more space to build, right? And believe me, it's not cheap at all. You buy here a one-bedroom apartment, I don't know, man, it's like at least $30,000, $40,000,
Wow.
Yeah, some of them might cost like $100,000.
$100,000 apartment in favela?
Not a one-bedroom, a bigger one, like a big, nice house, right? With swimming pool, rooftop.
You have swimming pool houses with swimming pool in favelas?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. We're going to a Brazilian steakhouse. It's my favorite spot to eat here in Rocinha. It's just grilled Brazilian barbecue, chicken, sausage, chicken hearts, top sirloin steak, all you can eat for only $8.
Carlos, the owner, personally makes these sausages in the morning and marinates the chicken hearts in his signature sauce.
Look, I've been cooking here my whole life.
His whole life.
And this grill here, I remodeled it 8 years ago. I decided to study the gaucho cowboy tradition of cooking meat. I found a teacher who kept the recipes. I went to the south of the country to study with him. And with those recipes, I came back here.
Gauchos are South American cowboys, and they influence the meat culture of asada, grilled beef. But in Brazil, this culture is special. You see, the meat is grilled on burning coals to make the heat stronger. And not on wood coals, but on stone coals, so that the flames are as searing as possible. Small pieces are cooked literally for a few tens of seconds on each side, roasting on the outside and retaining all the juices. Just look at that, guys. I mean, that's a lot of meat in that sausage. Very meaty. It's juicy and delicious. The sausages are really good. He's putting some kind of spice in it. I can't even tell what it is. It's some kind of very aromatic herbs. It's perfectly cooked.
It's so juicy. It is so juicy. How he makes it so well roasted, but still juicy inside.
It's pupusini. Yum, yum, yum.
Yeah. Oh, guys, this is good meat. It's all about not spoiling it. You don't have to do much to it. Just don't spoil it.
O frango tem algum segredo, como a gente começou antes.
There's no secret here. It's just quality food. You get quality meat. Cooking time is very important, yeah? You can't roast it too long or too little.
Deixar passar demais.
You have to feel it.
Take a look out the window. Just look out there. It's an incredible view of the favelas. It's just an incredible view of the favelas.
This is the dirtiest and the most messy bar in Rocinha, which I love. The more messy and the dirtier it gets, better is the cheese and the Brazilian sugarcane liquor.
This bar is truly incredibly shabby. The fan is covered in centuries of dust, and the refrigerator is under a layer of old oil. And just look at all of those bottles, just the way they look. They're all covered in oil by now also. And by the way, the most dust-free bottle is the Campari. Apparently, that's the most wanted drink around here. And there's tile over there that's completely ruined. In fact, overall, it looks like a really, really run-down bar. I mean, look at this cash register. It's from like the 50s or 70s at the most, maybe. I don't know. And here he's bringing us a bottle, and he's even washed it, I think, just now. It's still a little dusty, but it's worth a try, I think. This is an iconic place in the Rocinha favela. They serve grilled cheese. I actually thought about it again when I saw this cheese. It looks like it's older than its owner. Look, the owner cuts off the rind and goes and grills it, and then he pours me something. All right, you guys, let's try some genuine cachaça in the Rocinha favela.
Oh. That's not genuine. This is the real stuff.
Is that homemade?
I made it myself.
So it is homemade. I'm afraid to imagine what the house where it's made looks like if this is what the bar looks like. There's something inside the bottle.
It's for you. It's dried cheese. We call it queijo coalho. It comes from the state of Ceará in the north.
Queijo coalho is a young Brazilian cheese that many people here make at home. They put a lot of salt in it, and in its heavily dried form, which is how it's often made here, it resembles kurt, popular in Central Asia. If you don't know what kurt is, check out our episode on the cuisine of Uzbekistan. I highly recommend it. It's still hot, you guys. And it's stretchy. I mean, just look at how it stretches. It's just... Just look at that.
Yeah. Yeah, just like that. And then have a sip of cachaça.
This is the homemade one.
Tell me, what would your mother usually cook you for breakfast? What do you in Brazil eat for breakfast usually?
Usually, in the Brazilian families, we eat very simple. French bread with butter, coffee with milk. Here, we tend to eat late night.
Late night?
Yeah, lunch and dinner.
Lunch and dinner,
Yeah, in Brazil, it's very common, like we have dinner around 9, 10, even 11 p.m.
Wow.
Yeah.
So Brazilians tend to live more during nighttime.
Exactly.
When do usually Brazilian people move out from parents?
Oh man, here's ridiculous. If you let they stay there forever, you know, until the age of 30, 35, even 40 years old.
And it is considered like normal.
Normal. I know a lot of people that they're like 30 years old, they're still living with their parents.
Why? It's
Because
comfortable or it's
comfortable, but at the same time, it's traditional, it's comfortable, but at the same time, it's very hard for you to make a living by yourself.
Yeah, because your mother will always make you some soup and some snacks and something.
They even make your bed. they make up your bed. They cook for you. You have all your clothing clean.
Even among the most brutal thugs with their big guns that I filmed a lot of on this trip to Rio and São Paulo, almost all of them continued to live with their moms. I couldn't film in their houses, but sometimes the scenes were very funny when a 15-year-old kid with an M16 rifle is scolded by his mom for not doing his homework.
Shawty gon' check that, bang that, drop that, hit that, back that, kick that, send that, flip that.
This is an expensive neighborhood in São Paulo, the Jardins district. Here, of course, you have these luxury homes and more affluent people. And look at the security of the homes here. Here's an example. Here's a house, an expensive high-rise, and naturally it's surrounded by a fence. It's clear that on this fence, there's a live wire on top. But look, right here, there's a gate that lets you through by facial identification. And then you pass into a sort of transit zone, and there's another fence inside, as you can see here. And look here too, the woman has entered the first gate, and then only then does she enter the second gate. And here also, it's exactly the same. The only exit is through the vestibule. So look, the first gate first, and then the second gate, so that no one will pass behind you. Now, the door didn't close yet behind the woman, so she checks. Come on, door, let's close. There we go. And then only then does she get into the cab. She's very vigilant. There's an incredible amount of cameras around. And here is exactly the same double gate system. It's all over the neighborhood. Only through the double gates, and only when the back door closes does the outer door open. I think prisons have the same security system. I don't know of anywhere else, but if you do, please let me know. Now, there are houses here without vestibules. Here, for example, there's just a metal gate at the entrance, and at the entrance to the entrance hall, you see, there's another metal grill. It feels as if the wealthy or even the middle class in São Paulo live in a self-imposed imprisonment. Those who have a lot of money travel by helicopter. This type of transportation is very developed here. Prices for apartments in such buildings start from $100,000 for a small apartment.
How much is this studio? How much is it?
21,000 reals per meter.
Well, there you go, guys. $4,000 per square meter of what can be classified as elite real estate. Truly elite real estate. So that means a house with a pool, a gym, in a good neighborhood, and all of that. These are the prices in São Paulo. An interesting detail about the numbering of houses in Brazil. In most countries in the world, the houses on the street are typically numbered in order. First, third, fifth, seventh, for example, on the odd side, and then the same on the even side, but not in Brazil. In Brazil, the number of a house means the distance from that building to the beginning of the street. So here, for example, is house 149. And the next house, 24 steps, house 171, and 149 plus 24 is 173, yes? Well, I mean, I'm just saying a step isn't exactly 1 meter. The house number indicates how many meters from the house to the beginning of the street. It's actually very convenient, I think. You really know how many meters you have to walk to the next house or to the address you need. If you're in front of house 200, for example, and you need house 305, you know that you're going to have to walk exactly 105 meters.
This monument portrays an indigenous person who is hunting for fish. There was once a pool here, and he would swing at passing fish with a spear. But over time, that spear was stolen, so that left the Indian like this. So
this is the first native person threatening a fish with his fist. This person begins the most important, beautiful, and expensive avenue of Sao Paulo, Avenida Paulista. This avenue is almost devoid of robberies, assaults, and even homeless people and beggars, whom in general you'll encounter very often in large Brazilian cities. So I understand that this entire Avenida Paulista was an avenue of mansions, is that right?
Yeah, which was built from the suburbs of the state of Sao Paulo. All the way to Santos, because this was the highway that the colonizers used to transport the looted wealth from Brazil to the port of Santos and then on to Europe, to Portugal. Which is why here, everything that was built on both sides of the highway, all of these buildings, they were built to collect taxes from those who transported this wealth. So there were some pretty well-to-do people living here.
And Paulista means resident of Sao Paulo, right?
No, it means resident of the state of Sao Paulo.
Okay.
A resident of the city of Sao Paulo is paulistano.
So how is it that there aren't any homeless people in this expensive neighborhood?
Honestly, I don't know. Maybe it's just the security guards who work in all these buildings. They make sure that these homeless people don't disturb the lives of the rich.
Igor came to Brazil a great many years ago and was homeless himself for a while.
I wasn't living permanently on the streets. I was just living there for a while before I met any of the people who would then agree to take me in.
And how did you make money during that time?
I wasn't making money. When you're down in the dumps, everybody here can help you a little bit. And so, when you ask for a little something or a place to rest, to wash, they give it to you. Because people help selflessly. I mean,
but it takes money just to buy groceries, right? I understand that the main source of income is what people just give you on the street?
I just don't ask for money. I ask for what I need. I need bus fare. I say, can you buy me the opportunity to come in to ride the bus? I need food. I ask to be bought food. I don't ask for money.
Okay.
That's the difference between me and the homeless.
There are so many homeless people in Sao Paulo that it's like the locals don't even notice them. People sleeping across sidewalks or on monuments. Here's a mom taking her 3 kids to school, and she's not bothered at all that a homeless grandmother is blocking the road. So tell me, for example, to settle somewhere on the street, you have to ask someone, can I pitch my tent here, or can I lay out my cardboard to sleep on here?
Yeah, you have to ask, because here the groups of influence are divided. Who lives where, who collects garbage where, and here the places where people sleep, the homeless people trade them with one another. So sometimes there are fights over these spheres of influence, because certain places are more charitable to beggars, other places are safer, so there's a certain division of these places.
Something real, something raw, not accidental, no, I'm sure.
Igor lived in Brazil illegally for the first 6 years, and even so, he was able to get a residence permit later on.
In Brazil, if you don't interfere with anyone's life, they don't interfere with your life. So I've been in Brazil for almost 22 years. I've never done an income tax return. I've never paid income tax, and nobody cares about that.
The worst phenomenon that homelessness has spawned in Sao Paulo is the so-called Crackolândia, or Crackland, a crack country right on the streets of Brazil's main metropolis.
The very center of the city has been taken over by Crackolândia.
Everyone here is on crack, cocaine, synthetics, all this new stuff. It's pathetic. I don't even know how to describe the situation.
Crackland doesn't have an exact address. It's a roaming drug neighborhood in Sao Paulo. And we're driving to where it is now. Not all drivers agree to take passengers there.
Crackolândia originally appeared in the historic center of the city, where drug dealers would gather to sell their product. I guess they were paying somebody off and they were allowed to do it. Over time, drug addicts started flocking there. Everybody liked this situation because it was impossible to find the dealers among the crowd of drug addicts. And eventually, it became a gigantic problem because Crackolândia started to grow at a gigantic rate, you might say.
Drivers are afraid to go to Crackolândia because of these mass attacks. Drug addicts attack all the cars one by one, taking everything from the passengers. Smaller attacks, like stealing a cell phone through an open window, well, that can happen all the time. So let's say you're driving around taking pictures out of the window, but every time you're afraid that there's going to be a motorcyclist outside the window who's going to grab your camera, and you won't have time to do anything about it. Here, it's very highly likely.
Right now, the authorities in São Paulo can't do anything about Crackolândia. Plus, there's a lot of stories going around about who's making money off of it and how much money is made in Crackolândia on drugs.
So guys, we've come to what's called Crackolândia, and this is what it looks like. There it is. From above, it looks like some kind of crowded marketplace, but in reality, it's packed with all sorts of people abusing substances, many of whom look like zombies. Almost all restaurants and most stores have closed because of their arrival. People are moving out of their apartments and can't even sell them. Since 2005, the authorities of São Paulo began to fight Crackolândia. Drug addicts are dispersed with the help of the police, and then the whole area is thoroughly cleansed. So here, guys, this is how many people it takes to wash the paving stones. Let's do the math. There's one guy, there's 2, 3, 4, 5 guys holding one hose, and the 5 of them are doing a wonderful job. Well done. People cheered at the time, put an end to Crackolândia, but it turned out to be worse. Drugged up people moved into new neighborhoods and turned them into ghettos. Bars and restaurants closed again, tenants moved out, and then Crackolândia moved on.
It used to only be in one place, but after the police started cleaning up the places after them and driving them out of their permanent locations, they became nomadic. Before that, they weren't nomadic.
And so they just take over different neighborhoods then?
Some streets, yeah. And they settle there and they do their stuff, like they're doing now. They're just looking for some trash to sell. So they sell stolen goods, they sell drugs, they offer their sexual services, all in one place.
So why don't they just, I don't know, put those who sell drugs in jail or put those that are high in some rehabilitation centers or something like that? Why not? They're just giving away an entire city district to drug addicts, heavy drug addicts.
There's too many of them. As they say, you can't put them all behind bars. As Zoya Kosmodinianskaya said, you can't hang us all. There are 200 million of us. So it turns out that there are too many of them now, and the police themselves don't go there. You can show that, by the way, on the left side, too. Look.
Walking on the streets here is not only scary, it's also squeamish. There are people around who are brewing some kind of mixture of substances and shooting it up right on the sidewalks. Guys, this is just as unpleasant as it comes. It's really terrible because, I don't know. I guess some of it will have to blur out because we can't show drug use. Because drugs, you guys, they're evil. Hard drugs are seriously evil. Whew. I wish I could unsee this. It's just gross. It's clear that these are sick people, and it's a shame that they're turning into these zombies. Many of them came to São Paulo to work or study and didn't notice how the drugs made them permanent residents of Crackolândia.
This was all hotels. Then the call girls showed up, the night birdies. And after this, Crackolândia took over the neighborhood. Only rentals remained, with their empty, abandoned stands with broken windows.
And just around the corner, you can see some really good restaurants. Regular people are just sitting there enjoying themselves. And you go a bit farther up the block, and it's already a normal neighborhood. Nothing out of the ordinary until Crackolândia gets there. Well, yeah, that's how it is.
That's the thing about Sao Paulo. It's not like Rio de Janeiro. One neighborhood is gangster, another neighborhood is good. It's a mix of rich, poor, drug trafficking, and normal people, and they all get along peacefully. No one is harassing anyone, no one is attacking anyone. Of course, if you do something they don't like film them, they will lose their cool. Otherwise, people get along here pretty well. The good guys and the bad guys, side by side.
When I get in, I take a shower, read a book and feel empowered. Smoking on that sour got me counting down the
Crackolândia leaves behind a plume of abandoned houses filled with homeless people in São Paulo. Downtown São Paulo is full of houses like this. Apparently, this is a former office building or maybe even a residential building that was just abandoned by people because the area was no longer fit for civilized living. And now you can see, well, first of all, the whole building has been covered in graffiti, and secondly, there's some second-hand stores and lodging houses and all of that. And there's a huge number of such buildings here in this neighborhood. There's a building like that across the street. You see that over there? Obviously, it was a fancy mansion, and then people were forced to leave just because of the neighborhood like this. And so the fancy mansion is now a lodging house. Whoa, easy, okay, easy. So here again, look, there used to be a fancy house, and next to it, you can see there's even a shopping center still standing. And this house, it's all gone. It's a shanty town. And just look at the windows and downstairs. This house is even fenced in. And that's it. It's officially off limits. But the homeless just live there. It's the same thing there. And you see that abandoned mansion? That's just become a shelter for the homeless. And over there, if you can see, there's a sign that says, "Fight for your right to housing." So the homeless people who have settled there claim that they're not taking over the house, but that they're just asserting their rights to real estate, any kind of property. If a person who has taken over a house stays there for a while and pays for electricity, he gets the right to claim that property. That's Brazilian law. And unfortunately, the owner can no longer evict him, not without a court order. This is the Bela Vista neighborhood in Sao Paulo. Bela Vista translates as beautiful views, and it really is a beautiful neighborhood. Part of it is luxurious, but part of it is not so much. I came here to film a house that's been taken over here, and people are living there just like in those mansions that used to be high-end. But unfortunately, well, look at them now. Not so high-end. The houses here used to be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. We go into the courtyard of one of them. The walls are shabby, there's almost no light, and now it's hard to even realize that this was once an expensive urban villa in the heart of Sao Paulo.
The house is very old. The owner abandoned it and left it to us. He said that here in Brazil there is such a law. When some time has passed, several years you've lived in the house, paying the bills and everything, you can then claim your title to the property. But we haven't had a chance to do that yet because you have to pay the officials, you see? And we don't have the money for it yet.
Dasha is Igor's ex-wife. She's in charge of the house now, although there are other people living in it. I guess you can't call them homeless if they're dwelling in a big mansion. Look at these paintings here. I mean, the paintings are still here from the previous owner. I mean, obviously from him. Who else? And what is this? Some kind of a sign. Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
And these are separate rooms. That's where the people live.
Who are you?
And you see the people who live in this house. Oh, quiet dog. There's tons of dogs here. There's a lot of dogs here, you guys. And this was the kitchen, right? Oh, okay, there's more. Wow.
You
have a balcony here.
I need to clean this up now. The dog pooped in the room.
So look, there's a huge, huge balcony. and it's got a stunning view of downtown São Paulo. I mean, that's where the expensive high-rises are. You can see them from right here on this balcony. And, well, it's just the clotheslines that get in the way. But look at this beautiful wrought iron fencing. I mean, this was a big, beautiful porch. And it's still really big. But it's been worn out quite a bit, as you can see. According to the 2022 census, São Paulo has 12 times more empty apartments than there are homeless people. Nearly 500,000 apartments across the city are abandoned by their owners. And look, there's a huge living room. The main ceiling is obviously collapsed, and you can see the roof. And there's an exit to the street over there, and another room right there, also with a collapsed ceiling. And there's a hallway down here. This is a huge house. It's a huge house that's just been taken over by total strangers. It's interesting that the owners, apparently rich owners, just left. They just abandoned it. They didn't sell it to anybody, and apparently they just couldn't find a buyer because the neighborhood had deteriorated dramatically. It's really sad, and no one was willing to buy it, so what's in here? Some more utility rooms. There's lodging over there again. It's all divided up in some kind of cubby holes now. Brazil is a country with one of the widest gaps between the poor and the rich in the world. According to the World Bank, which calculates the so-called Gini index, it's in second place after Colombia, followed by Zambia, Angola, and Mozambique. This does not mean that the country is poor. In terms of GDP per capita, Brazil is quite an average country by world standards. But there is almost no middle class here, either extreme poor or very, very rich. Dasha says that the owner himself allowed her to occupy the house for free.
He decided that the owner, his father, was dead.
Okay.
And he decided that they were kind of giving it to us because we had nowhere to live and rent an apartment or a house. It was expensive. We only pay for power and water here, and we don't get to pay tax yet because we don't have any income, so we only pay utility bills.
So how much does it cost per month?
Well, it's not expensive. It's 200 to 300 reals at the most. Well, because we're on the social tariff, and we've had our bills reduced. It used to be expensive.
These seized properties are often divided by formerly homeless people into rooms and rented out to other street dwellers who don't have the audacity to grab something of their own. So it's like, it's just a shower stall? So is this where you wash yourself?
This is where they live. No, you wash here in the toilet.
Okay, you wash here. Okay, you wash in the toilet, and then that's the shower. What is that thing sticking out at the top? Right there.
For hanging your clothes.
Oh, okay, for clothes, I understand. Okay, I see.
Yeah, for clothes.
And then this is where the bed is.
The bed, right.
And then that's it, and this is the exit right here. Now, you might ask why the lights are blinking, because this is how you turn on the lights here, by connecting these two wires or disconnecting them to turn the light off.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of houses in São Paulo where people live like this.
Yes, but only houses that were bought without the consent of the owners. And then, from time to time, the owners claim them and the police come to kick all illegal residents out.
Why is it so many houses are emptied and people are able to move in? Why do the houses suddenly become empty?
People can't pay their taxes. The owner dies, and his children live abroad or in another city. Ultimately, the owners simply can't manage the house all by themselves.
I've seen them take over entire mansions.
Yeah.
A whole mansion, and it's obviously taken over by people, right?
Yes.
The interesting thing is that all of these invasions are happening in neighborhoods that were originally well-to-do. You might even say rich, the ones where general Brazilian laws apply. But on the flip side, in the favelas, where cartel laws apply, and which are historically associated with squatting and self-building, well, poor people do not settle in or seize houses. The first team prohibits squatting. Guys, I got mugged in Brazil just because I was stupid. I acted really stupid. Anyway, yesterday, Igor and I were shooting in São Paulo. The last place we filmed, there were some guys who were stealing. Actually, they were pickpockets. And they gave us an interview. I filmed them with this camera. Igor shot the second camera.
The 360 degree.
Yes, the 360 degree one. He was coming around from the side, and this one even has the last footage from that camera on it. And you can see Igor holding it in the footage. So friends, we're on São Paulo's infamous 25th Street, a place where people get mugged quite often. Thieves are mostly snatching something or ripping it right off people's necks, necklaces for instance. And as a matter of fact, we came here to talk to one of the people who does exactly this.
You cannot walk around here with jewelry or a camera. Like, not at all. They'll rip it from you and take off. Turn that one off. Turn it off.
Oh, turn off the camera. Our guide introduced us to the people who steal from tourists every day on the streets of São Paulo. Here's a guy on this very street looking for a victim. When he finds a girl with jewelry, he rips it off in a second and runs off. But no one even chases him. Here's the same situation. The guy gets behind the victim, but it's his accomplice that snatches the chain and runs off. And then this guy sees a moment and rips something off also. Often robbers also attack. They can punch or knock the victim to the ground and take him for everything he's worth. Here they grab two guys and literally took everything out of their pockets in a couple seconds, quickly dispersed. In tourist areas, like the main cathedral in São Paulo, you can often see this, thief raids. So right here, you guys, right behind me, a group of suspects were caught stealing right here in the central square. On a 360 camera, we filmed these thugs talking about their business. Anyway, we got such great footage. The guys were really telling us how they steal, how it all works. And it's just, damn it. And everything that was filmed on that camera, I put it in my backpack. I took the camera from Igor, I put it in my backpack, and then we walked around the city filming. In the evening, I go to my hotel and the camera was gone. It was my own fault. I was carrying the camera like this in the side pocket of my backpack. You can't do that in Brazil. The thieves we filmed told us about a stolen goods market in the center of São Paulo where they often sell their goods, and that's where we went. So I'm gonna try and film it discreetly. This, you guys, is the famous market in São Paulo, the crowded market at Los Carreres. This is the center. This is where they sell all the stolen goods. But they also sell secondhand stuff here, so 80% of it is secondhand. But they also sell stolen phones, wallets, and things like that. In Brazil, 2 phones are stolen every minute. That's the official statistic. And the biggest number is in São Paulo. The thieves aren't even afraid of cameras. Here's a cyclist trying to snatch a smartphone from a journalist preparing for a live broadcast. Here's another cyclist looking for a victim, and when he finds one, he acts quickly.
Can you explain me why do they steal smartphone? Smartphone is nothing. It's just a brick without your password or without possibility to enter this smartphone. It is nothing.
Yeah, nowadays they are searching for people who are using the phone because it's unlocked. And then they steal the phone. And nowadays, a lot of people, they have the bank apps inside the cell phone. So the idea is to give to some hacker, and this guy gonna find the password of the bank account, and when you notice, you have a lot of money stealing. A lot of money was stolen from your bank account.
I'm up by my flag, bitch, I'm decked up on blue bills, and I
Then the unwanted smartphones are sold on this market.
You sell this phone?
100 reals. 60.
There's a bunch of cyclists bringing in what are probably just some freshly snatched cell phones. There was a guy on a bike coming up in plain sight, selling what he stole, and riding off to look for new victims farther away. And another guy rode up on a bike. He's also selling some router to the same reseller. Once he sells it, then he rides off to continue his hunt. And there's someone else coming up on a bicycle. Note that the goods are brought here on bicycles. And here's something again. Yeah, see, someone's backpack's been stolen. Great. And of course, with all this turnover, I couldn't have possibly stumbled across my camera. Somewhere around here, in some market like this, my camera was for sale probably. I wonder who bought it. I mean, I would have bought it myself, to be honest. I would have bought it back. In fact, I came here to look for it. Maybe I'd be lucky enough to stumble across my stolen camera here, but of course, it was a long shot. In fact, there are a lot of these places in São Paulo.
And the most interesting thing is that the most dangerous ones are not all these bums that are dirty and smelly. They usually don't attack or rob you. The high ones either, even though they can definitely have aggressive behavior when they want to get on video or in photos, or do something to get money or buy drugs. The most dangerous are people who are relatively decently dressed, in some decent t-shirts, baseball caps, shorts, branded shoes. These guys quietly sneak up on you and steal something from you without you even noticing, and then pass by, as you were saying, on bicycles, on motorcycles. These are the guys you should be watching out for. Now, you've walked around. You've seen who is selling loot there. They're not smelly, they're not dirty bums, but they're quite nice people.
What are the rules you need to follow not to be robbed?
Well, the first one, I never walk with my phone in my hand. I always put in the pocket or in a bag, like a shoulder bag.
Yeah.
And I always be aware, always smart, especially in busy areas. I avoid to answer my phone or to use my phone on streets because we are distracted, and these guys in bicycles, they are chasing people distracted. So I don't want to be a victim, so I avoid to do that.
You said that you use 2 smartphones.
Yeah, I have an old smartphone in my home where I have the bank app in my phone because that phone stays in my home. So when I need to pay or to check my balance.
So you don't use your banking apps on your everyday phone?
Exactly.
You have a special phone for bank apps and financial services, and you keep it at home?
Exactly. This is the idea, to be safer too.
Of course, not everything in these markets is stolen. Many people really bring their old stuff here. That's why it's convenient to sell everything else amidst this motley mixture of goods. Brazilian gangstering strikes me as pointless. I mean, criminals usually commit their crimes to get rich, right? And here, people snatch your cell phone, which is worth hundreds of dollars, but when it's stolen, it turns into a brick. It's locked. And most of the time, they just throw it away. Or they stole my 360 camera, but they won't even be able to use it. You need a special program to watch those 360 videos. So again, they'll just play with it and throw it away. Or they occupy these houses that were worth tens of thousands of dollars, maybe even millions of dollars. And they turn them into what? They just turn them into poor people's shelters. And I mean, when black realtors, for example, take over houses, they do it in order to sell them, to get a lot of money and spend that money on their lavish gangster lifestyle. Or Mexican cartels kidnap people to get ransom for them and use that money to live lavishly also, buy themselves expensive cars and all of that. And here people kidnap expensive things just to make garbage out of them.
I got problems on problems on problems on problems on problems on problems I solve them. I run through the money, the pressure be calling. Left on my blessings, I feel like I'm falling. The birdie is back.
So guys, we're in the slums of Paraisópolis. It's the second largest slum in São Paulo. Living without money makes the locals very creative. In the favelas, most of the houses are decorated in some way. I mean, just look at how many pots of flowers the owner has hung on his house, even though the whole staircase next to it is strewn with garbage. So look, some of the buildings in the favelas are beautiful. A balcony with balusters like these, you see? The second floor also has these balusters, and this is a new build. You can see that they're building more floors on top of these floors, but they try to make them beautiful. Oh, you see the for sale ad. Here, if you look, the apartment's for sale. Such a beautiful beige door next to some fancy cafe right here. And you can't even tell that we're in the center of one of the biggest favelas in Brazil.
So lately, when in the neighborhoods they started to build residential complexes, the prices of the slums shot up. Some apartments here rent now for 400 reals a month, some rent for 800, and some for 1,000 reals.
Favelas grow like this. First, the first floor is built. And when a family has children, they add a second floor, and then their children add a third floor, and so on and so forth. The houses sometimes grow up to 7 floors. When a family moves somewhere, sometimes on the site of an already built favela, well, the old houses are demolished and replaced by other houses. And the bricks that are used for building favelas are very light. So listen to this. They're hollow inside, so they're very, very light. They're easy to tear down, so it's easy to build new houses in their place. Hi. Wow. Look at this, guys. A view of the whole favela. Of course, like everywhere else in Brazil, you'll be invited to the table and drinks will be poured. But be careful, these cans can contain not only light but also heavy alcoholic beverages. 40%.
40%.
This is the famous pitu, a type of Brazilian cachaça, or sugarcane vodka, the main drink of the slums. Next door, I'm treated to acai ice cream. It's a fruit that grows in the Amazon jungle. You have to pick them like this, climbing up thin palm trees. In the early 2000s, an American food company, Monavi, called acai a superfruit that treats cancer, heart disease, and strengthens the brain and erections. A massive advertising campaign made it very popular in the US.
The acai berry, a miracle of nature, revered for centuries for its unique health and wellness properties.
Cancer, fight diabetes, improve our energy, and there actually has been something developed. It's called Monavi, and it's really life in a bottle.
A drink made from the acai berry found in the Amazon rainforest. The berry has plenty of buzz right now, being called a superfood.
And people who have tried it call it a miraculous elixir.
Acai wound up on the menus of David Beckham, Kim Kardashian, members of the British royal family, and many celebrities. Sylvester Stallone, for example.
Okay, how do you pronounce it?
Acai.
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 It's one of the fastest growing multi-level marketing companies in the nation, and it's based right here in Utah.
Monavi is a line of fruit juices that has developed a cult-like following by celebrities and average Americans alike.
Then it turned out that all of this was an exaggeration, just a deception. The berry has no super qualities whatsoever. The Monavi company went bankrupt and was bought by a competitor, but it didn't stop acai's popularity. In Brazil, they usually make ice cream with it.
This is my special acai sherbet. It's a very special fruit from the Amazon.
Obrigado. Okay, guys, acai ice cream. This is a berry that is harvested in the Amazon. It's slightly sour. It's not very sweet. It's kind of like elderberries or even cranberries. But it's a little bit sweeter. And that's nice. And at the end, there's this herbal aftertaste. It's a very refreshing ice cream. And it's not sweet at all. It's delicious. When in Brazil, you should definitely try the açaí ice cream. Fabio has made a museum of steel figures right in the center of the favela from his car repair shop.
I started by making small figures from waste that I had gathered after repairing motorcycles. It was a shame to toss it all out into a landfill. I wanted to recycle the trash into something useful. So I started creating art installations. Over there, I have more blanks, big gears. I'll make something out of them too. But it's pure art, not for money. Nobody even sees it. Tourists don't come here.
Now he has musical instruments, robots, a whole collection of motorcycles, and a huge cow made of gears. Fabio is proud of his black hands stained with machine oil. You could walk around this workshop for hours, to be honest. I mean, look, there's a bench all made out of gears. Here's a table made entirely of gears and chains. And there's a work chair like this. Look, it's a PC chair. These are incredible crafts. Look at this one. I think it's a cheburasca. Well, at least the Brazilian variety. And there's a knight over there. I mean, just look at that.
I didn't learn this anywhere. I never went to school at all. I learned everything on my own, no help. I watched some videos, experimented, and I tried to use my imagination.
Do you like to live in Paraisópolis?
Yeah, I like Paraisópolis very much. I've lived here for 24 years, and for me, there is no better place in the world to live than this. It's very nice and peaceful. It really is a paradise for me. So it's really Paraisópolis, Paradise City. We don't lock our doors here. Nobody troubles anybody here. Nobody's afraid of anything.
It's amazing to hear that about a place controlled not by the police, but by one of the bloodiest gangs in the world. I don't know why the locals support it. Because they're afraid or because it gives them more security. Why aren't the police protecting you?
The police kill. If the police are in a favela, that means danger. People don't trust them. They don't bring security. They don't protect.
But why not? I don't understand. The police are supposed to protect.
But the Brazilian police don't protect.
Why not?
Prejudice. They have a lot of prejudices. Racism, ideology, gender prejudices. All this affects their attitude towards us, and they end up only bringing a threat to our favela. They don't protect us.
So how do you become such a protector? Like, for example, I live here, and I want to be a part of the team that puts things in order. How do I become part of that team? Do you understand?
Yeah. But not everybody gets in. Not everybody can get on that team. And not everybody wants to be on it. It's a personal choice. It's your choice. Some people want to be on the criminal side. Some people just want to live a normal life and work.
Is it more dangerous now than it was, say, 10 years ago?
No.
Or less dangerous?
No. Much less dangerous.
Much less dangerous.
For example, 20 years ago, there was another cartel here, and you couldn't do anything. You couldn't build houses, you couldn't develop. It was tough. There was a lot of killing. And now the community lives in peace. There's law under the cartel.
When did peace come about? When?
Around 2003.
2003, why? What happened?
The people in charge of the neighborhood changed. The people who were in power ran away. They were kicked out. And others came in and they're still in charge to this day.
And now this neighborhood is living in peace.
That's right.
In peace.
Complete peace. No war in any neighborhood in São Paulo. No war. All the neighborhoods of São Paulo are peaceful now.
Is it just in São Paulo or all of Brazil?
Just São Paulo.
Why only São Paulo? Why isn't it like that in other places?
Because São Paulo is where this cartel was created. It originated here. There are a lot of cartels in Rio de Janeiro. Elsewhere in the country, there's a lot of cartels. And of course, there are fights between them, but there's only one here.
Okay, so there's only one.
There's no competition. There's no gang feuding. There's just no such thing. There's one faction, and that's it.
Okay, and you like it that way, that there's only one?
Yeah, I mean, we're at peace. No war, no gunfights, no police breaking in at dawn, kicking down doors, and you begin to appreciate every minute of the peaceful life that our neighborhood has.
It sounds unthinkable, a gang that's restoring order. But here's a graph of crime in São Paulo since 2000, when the first team cartel took control of the city, a precipitous drop in crime. Experts from the World Economic Forum cite data. The murder rate dropped from a high of 52.5% per 100,000 in 1999 to just 6.1% per 100,000 today. Since 2020, São Paulo, once the most feared city in Brazil, is now safer than New York City, where crime is on the rise. The same World Economic Forum says a few researchers believe the drop is due to the dominance of a single gang known as the PCC, which imposed its own brand of criminal order, a kind of Pax Mafioso, a mafia piece.
We don't want a war with anybody, but it's different in Rio. There they love all these wars among themselves. We're done with that here. We're all one here. We're all human beings, and there's plenty of room under the sun for all of us. You catch my drift? Say no war. We're only at war with the system, with the government.
In Rio, on the contrary, the cult of guns has been growing over the years, so that on the streets there's only more guns.
Have you ever been in real fight with this weapon?
Yeah, sure. I've used it to smash cops' cars. I've shot down helicopters, a bunch of stuff.
Helicopters?
Uh-huh.
How you hit helicopters?
We got armor-piercing guns, SWAT armored cars come in here, feds, and helicopters try to fly in.
In Rio de Janeiro, the authorities use helicopters to storm the favelas, and sometimes they're shot down by the cartel fighters. Slum storming is so commonplace there that this video clip recently went viral on the web. The SWAT team storms the favela, but the woman doesn't even get up from the bench. She just keeps drinking something from a can.
When did you start doing that?
I was around 14 or 15.
Was you ever trained how to use this weapon?
You have to get your training by yourself. You learn how to handle the guns. They only told me the basic stuff. The older guys showed me how to shoot, and then I learned it all on my own.
When did you enter a cartel?
I was 17 years old. At first, my job was to be an errand boy, talking to people, see who was doing what, make sure no one was cheating or trading behind our backs. And then my role and my position grew. I was entrusted with more and more complex cases. Let's just say it was all about security. Generally, if someone gets killed here, it's for a reason. It means they did something wrong. Nobody gets killed for nothing.
Now, don't think that the first team is some kind of peaceful cartel. They're one of the largest suppliers of drugs to the US, Europe, and the Middle East. Peaceful residents of the favelas are a source of replenishment of fighters and a kind of human shield from the police. The cartel started out in the worst prison in all of South America, which was located in São Paulo, Carandiru. In Brazil, this was synonymous with the word hell. There were 7,500 people in this prison instead of the intended 4,000. Overcrowding, prisoner fights, unbearable conditions. In October 1992, a riot broke out in Carandiru. The special forces who arrived to put an end to it began to shoot the prisoners, causing a massacre. Absolutely all of the survivors were herded into the streets, where they sat in the sun for almost 24 hours without food or water. The Carandiru riot became a symbol in São Paulo of the cruelty and injustice of the Brazilian penitentiary system, and eventually the entire prison was torn down. And in a way, it was out of these ruins that the first team cartel emerged. At first, it was a kind of gangsters' trade union.
All this huge territory where
Was
now is a park was
a park.
a prison.
So everything was a prison here. There's a monument here. It's a memorial for the people who died in the riot in 1992. Actually, in that time, the crime in São Paulo was not organized. So small gangs killing each other.
Can you explain me why this exact riot was so important? Why was it like a turning point?
Because after that, the crime started to be organized. They stopped to kill each other, to be just one cartel. And in their opinion, the real enemy is the state, not the other gangs. So this is why they create just one group, organized, so people can't kill the others just if they have a permission.
Wait a minute, work hard for the cause, so that's why it's all tinted.
In the remaining buildings of what was once the worst prison in Latin America, there is now an exhibition of prison art. It's interesting that the police chief who led the raid on the Carandiru prison in 1992, who ordered the operation and was found by the court to have ordered the killing of the prisoners, this police chief is very popular in São Paulo. So popular that he was elected to the local parliament after he had served his time. And in general, he remained a very popular politician. And what's more, when he was elected, he chose his number on the ballot as 14.111. 111 is the number of people killed in the prison during the riots, killed by the police. Brazil is divided into two camps. Some believe the prisoners were shot for a reason. They say they shouldn't have rioted. Others, that the police killed everyone indiscriminately. And most of the killed inmates did not take part in the riot, but simply got caught in the crossfire. Now, in the preserved buildings of the prison, in addition to the museum, there is a school, and the old prison cells were all turned into classrooms. Well, of course, the most striking thing about all of this is that this used to be the worst prison in the world. And now it's a school. I mean, there's kids over there. Look, kids waving their arms. And there's a cafe over there, you see, where the prisoners would have been collected for roll call. There's these fancy benches over here. The site of what used to be the worst prison in Latin America, and maybe the world. And just look at how many people are standing in line to buy these potatoes. And it's like that every day here. Just for comparison, look at the other restaurants. Do you see? There's no lines at all. It's only here that there's always this long line. We're back in the favelas of Rio de Janeiro. In the northern part of the city, there's a legendary French fry shop that sells the most delicious fries in town. Unfortunately, no one I know has ever dared come here with me in the evening, so I'm going alone. I don't like this. I'm alone on this platform, waiting for the subway train. It's a short ride to the Marechal Hermes neighborhood. Please don't do this alone. It can be very dangerous. The trains aren't exactly new, but they're not exactly run down. It's got an announcement board like this, and stations appear there. Of course, you can't see what station you're going to. It's just a paper map. And here, look, there's a garbage can. It's quite convenient, but I guess in the rush hour, this garbage can get to you. And there's this thing here. There's glass on the side near each of the seats, near the doors. And this is anti-theft protection against those who rush in at the stations and grab something and run out, so no bag can just be pulled through this glass. In old cars, robbers often did it like this. But now there are robberies like this, and so you see, people will run away, but the most careless will stay in the car. And a few seconds later, two guys come in. One of them is holding a gun to his leg, and the other one is packing money in his backpack. No smoking, no drinking, no holding the doors. Men are not allowed in the women's cars, but there's no prohibition against stealing anywhere, so maybe that's why it flourishes. And by the way, I was afraid to enter the women's cars, and it turns out that here, in the women's car, well, you see it says women's car, there are quite a lot of men sitting here. So it's not exactly a women's railway car. Men of all kinds can accommodate themselves in there. I don't know what the point is. Maybe it's just that at night, when there's no rush hour, this carriage ceases to be a women's carriage, but there are definitely more men than women here now. But all of that risk is worth it for me to get to Ademar Moreira, who is called the Potato King of Rio de Janeiro. He's been roasting his famous batata de Marechal here since 1989. So friends, this is the most famous diner in Rio de Janeiro, and they sell potatoes. So just look, the potatoes here are measured in barrels like this. A few barrels like this are cooked and sold in a day. When frying these potatoes, they must always use this sausage. And here it is, right here. And in fact, adding sausage to the oil gives the French fries that special flavor.
My secret is good potatoes, tasty sausage, and pile it up generously.
He piles it on a plate gregariously, and then he adds more. Moreira is known not only for his flavors, but also for the size of the portions. The largest weighs about 3 kilos. That's the size you get for a bag of fries with meat. A calorie bomb for 50 reals. And despite the huge line he has, he doesn't raise his prices.
I don't want to raise the prices. There's a lot of people in this line who don't have a lot of money, but they want tasty food too. And I'm feeding them.
The popularity of these French fries has led to the fact that practically this entire Rio neighborhood, well, has come to be considered a French fries neighborhood or something like that. A lot of other French fries restaurants have started opening up nearby. So see, look, there's Luca's Potatoes, and the next restaurant over there is also a French fries restaurant. Smokin' over there is another French fries restaurant. But none of the other restaurants have been able to gain as many fans and as much popularity as the original one. Although this one here, look right here, it's similar in color and everything, and the potatoes here are even cheaper, 35 reals. There, they cost 50. People take these fries and eat them here and then take a couple bags for home.
There's a lot of them. Lots of them, and they're cheap, very cheap.
So friends, while I was standing in line, and I haven't gotten there yet, just look at how long the line has grown. It's gotten just unbelievably long. The portions here come with sausage or royal style with chicken. I got one of those, but a small one. 3 kilos just wouldn't fit in me. Obrigado. Okay, so friends, French fries that you have to stand in line for almost an hour for. Honestly, I'm very curious to see what they're going to be like. A 3-kilogram bag and a huge amount of people buy them every day. I'll say right off the bat that I'm not expecting anything special. The best fries I've ever eaten in my life were cooked by my dad when I was a kid. And my dad's secret was that he fried the potatoes in at least 3 different kinds of oil, and the fries turned out great. And I don't think anything can beat that at all, but I want to try it. So here we go. I'm gonna try it. Oh my gosh, guys. These don't taste like regular fries at all. They're a lot richer in flavor and meaty. Oh, they're really good. If my dad's fries are a 10, these are at least a 9. And that's very close. Oh, here comes the meat. Okay. The meat's a little dry, but this is one of those cases when the potatoes actually taste better than the meat that they're cooked with. So, oh guys, these are really, really, really good. Maybe it's because there's these fats mixed in there also, so it's fried in vegetable oil, but the sausage is also added to it, which gives it its own fat. And bacon is also added. And maybe this is all mixed in. Again, 3 kinds of fat, just like my dad's. Oh, Dad, please forgive me for giving away your potato secret. But it looks like a guy in Rio de Janeiro knows it too.
Good to see you, man. Get in here. You can film back here.
Early in the morning, Guillermo picked me up and took me somewhere to eat again. And I think it was back to the slum district.
Where we are? Tell me. I don't understand where we came. We came somewhere in Rio.
Yeah, it's in the suburbs of Rio, this neighborhood named Benfica.
Benfica?
Yeah, so that's the suburbs of Rio. That's where it's concentrated the best bars.
Okay.
So today we're going to have like an experience of the Dirty Feet bars, which is a very informal, simple. Dirty feet because the sailors, the low-class workers, back in the days, after like a long hours of working, they used to go to these places with their dirty feet, right? So we kind of get this name, right? We call botequim pé sujo.
Even now, you can enter any of these bars barefoot or even in swimming trunks. And most importantly, not only to drink, but also to have a hearty meal. Because after a hard day's work, workers need calorie-rich food. Okay, you guys, I just got here. I haven't ordered anything yet, and they handed me something. I should probably drink it right away. This Adonis Dirty Feet bar has been open for over 70 years and has been owned by the same family for all of that time. Our table quickly fills up with an incredible array of appetizers.
Very Portuguese. So black olives, yellow beans. Here we have octopus with bacon. And here we have a dish named malandrinho, which is kind of like codfish shrimp risotto, pork cracklings. Yeah. We call torresmo. Torresmo.
Octopus with bacon, rice and fried fish, and pork rinds. It's impossible to leave a place like this hungry. But here, the owner carries another plate, abundantly pouring oil on it. And after putting it on the table, he adds more butter. They do not count calories here.
This is cod, am I right?
Something very, very, very fatty just got brought in.
Raw codfish, rip it with your hands, with onions, garlic, yeah, olive oil. So it's just a raw fish, yes? Raw codfish.
It's called punhita de bacalhau, which can be translated as handmade cod. But be careful how you pronounce it. Punheta in Portuguese has another meaning, which I won't even say here, so as not to spoil anyone's appetite. So look, you guys, this fish, it's not cut. It looks exactly as if it were torn into pieces, because that's what they do. They tear it into pieces and put it on the plate. Because of that, it's just big chunks of fish with lots of butter and this sauce.
Salsa. Punheta muito boa. Punheta de bacalhau. Fantástica, geladinha, refrescante.
Really good.
Yeah, very tasty. Very tasty.
The love for cod in Brazil comes from Portugal, where this fish is generally considered a staple of the local diet. So this is actually just a pork skin with bits of fat on it, which is baked in oil. It is deep fried in oil.
Yeah, be careful with your teeth. So you have to chew it slow. São mais duras. Bem gostoso.
Well, it's crispy and it's fatty.
Jurna.
Jurna.
Jurna means fatty.
Fatty. Jurna.
In fact, literally everything on the table is fatty. I honestly don't believe you can get good octopus in a regular bar because you have to know how to cook it.
Karoshi means good.
Karoshi, I know, karoshi. Karoshi.
So let's see if it's good or not.
So soft.
You guys, it's tender. It's so tender. This octopus is cooked just right.
And look, so soft. Crazy, huh?
Sincerely saying, I thought that octopus with bacon is a bad idea. But no, it works together very well.
As we ate, the owner of the place kept bringing in new dishes. From time to time, Guillermo would also feed his friend who is helping us with the shoot.
Finally, he ate.
It took too long. It took too long.
Lots of food here in Brazil is quite fatty. I mean, it's with oil, it's with fat. But I see so many sporty people here. I don't know, is it just I see them here in Rio de Janeiro? You know, with
the
ads.
six-pack.
Yeah.
It's more about Rio culture because it's pretty much summer year-round, right? So they go to the beach, they have to show them off, there's like a competition between them. But I would say it was born, this culture, in Rio, and now other states of Brazil are adapting that too. Man, it's very important for a Brazilian meal like rice, beans, yuca, cassava, French fries, pasta, and meat.
Yeah.
It's very Brazilian, you know?
Yeah.
Even if you wanna, you know, offer them some other food, they'll be like, no, this is not food, you know? I want real food.
And that's when they brought us the main Brazilian dish, feijoada.
It took 3 days to make this dish. So they start desalting the pork meat on Saturday, and then, you know, cooking all the pork meats, all the pieces. Yeah, it takes 3 days. It's a long process. And it takes a lot of work.
There are dozens of recipes for feijoada, but 3 ingredients are a must: black beans, pork, and cassava flour. According to one version, the dish was invented by black Brazilian slaves. They took beans, which were fed only to animals and slaves, pork scraps from the master's table, and cooked it all together with Indian flour from cassava flowers. The word feijoada in Brazil refers to black people. And according to another version, this dish goes all the way back to ancient Rome, and it was brought here by the Portuguese. They say that you have to mix everything together. That is, take the rice, the beans, and this flour powder, and then mix it all with the meat, or with the oxtail, like this.
Very good.
Oxtail. You guys, this is incredible. It must have been stewed for a very, very long time. Feijoada is actually made for 3 days, and there's no fat left in it. There's just a soft substance that you eat like jelly, like meat jelly.
So good, huh? Have a piece of the orange. That's so perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys, the orange, its acidity kind of cleanses your mouth afterward. And this, by the way, is a really cool tip for all of those home cooks out there. After a fatty, rich meal, eat a little bit of orange. The most interesting thing is that this dinner, or for me it was breakfast, costs about $40 for 3 persons.
Tell me more about Brazilian families. How many children do you usually have?
Man, my mom used to have like 8 brothers and sisters, right? Nowadays, it's normal to have maximum 3.
Yeah.
But normal family, I would say 2 or 1. Because it's so expensive to raise kids in Brazil, you know? And not only because of that, but I believe there are just so many people in the world already, you know? So you don't need that many people, right? But I have some friends that they're still working and getting their 4th, 5th kid.
I talked a lot with people from favelas, and they say that this problem, racial problem, still exists in Brazil. Do you think it's true or not?
If people are very racist?
I mean, yeah, that like everything here is for white people.
For sure. It is true. Yeah, we're very racist, right? I believe. You mean?
I thought that you will say that, wow, it's nonsense.
No, it's not that for white people, but white people are racist. And I believe it's because of the colonization, the history. I believe there are a lot of places that is just for white people. Let's say in a shopping mall in São Paulo, for example, if a black person with a flip-flop, shorts, and a cap are just trying to walk into the shopping mall, they might think he's from the favela and that he's criminal. But why they're so racist and why they discriminate, right?
You mean that if white men in flip-flop will come, they will do nothing, and they put black...
Maybe not with shorts and flip-flop because it's not... São Paulo is very formal.
Yeah.
But they would look in a different way, right? Even when, let's say, I had some clients another day, man, from the British Guyana, and one of them was black, and some girls got scared of him just because he was black, and they thought he looked like a criminal. what's the standard of like a criminal look? Because sometimes the criminal could be you, like white guy with the blue eyes, blonde hair, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or even myself. So, yeah, man, we need to change, right?
Is it true that like people from outside of favelas are scared to go to favelas?
Yeah, because they think it's dangerous. They think it's dangerous.
But it's not actually in favela. Inside favela,
it's safer.
Yeah,
it's safer. It's safer. It's safer.
But why? So Brazilians don't realize that.
Because they have a wrong image of the people that live in the favela and the favela itself. Because they only have access of the news, which is very dramatic, very sensationalist, you know, and
So guys, we're in Rio de Janeiro and we're going to a football game. Tonight, it's the main event for all Brazil, Flamengo from Rio de Janeiro and São Paulo. The stadium is the only place in Brazil where the distinction between the favelas and the rich neighborhoods almost blurs. You guys, the atmosphere here is, of course, indescribable. It's like it's not even football, it's a carnival. The stadiums here are always full, and the number of men and women in the stands is almost equal. It's interesting that here in the stadium, you can drink, you can smoke, but there's still a lot of children, and not teenagers, but children aged, I don't know, like 8 or maybe even less. People wear their best to the stadium. Here's a guy with a huge gold watch. It's probably fake though. I don't know how to tell you this, you guys, but people in Brazil often hide things in their underwear, you know, so they don't lose it. It's just that a lot of people here wear those athletic shorts, almost like swim trunks, and the pockets are small and unreliable. So if you need to put your phone or wallet somewhere, a Brazilian will very often put it in their underwear. So when a Brazilian adjusts something in their pants, don't get any ideas. They just have a phone that has fallen a little bit lower, or a wallet. It's a video. Anyway, Flamengo won. I got soaked from top to bottom with everything they threw, but it's a lot of emotion. It's incredible.
This is where we have fun. This is our biggest open space. We don't just play games here. It's also where most of the community events take place. Meetings, shows, different events. It's the main meeting place for the population within the community.
A football field is the centerpiece of any slum neighborhood in Brazil. No matter how shabby the houses around it are, no matter how much garbage is lying in the narrow slum streets, the field will be clean, neat, and always ready for the game. And there will almost always be lots of kids on it. Soccer for these kids is a chance to get out of the favelas forever.
Did you win?
No.
No? Again? Did they lose? Yeah? No luck? All right, I'll train you some more. You'll kick their ass.
Neymar, who now earns over $100 million a year, grew up in one of the poor neighborhoods in Brazil, as did Ronaldinho and many other football stars. There are opposite examples, though. Adriano Leite Ribeiro grew up in one of Rio's poorest favelas. He played for Flamengo, Inter, Roma, and Miami United. But then partying and alcohol brought him back to the favela. What's more, rumor has it that he is now a member of the city's main drug cartel, the Red Team. Here he is posing and showing their CV symbol with his fingers. And in this picture, here he is with a bod and a beer in the favela, and you can hardly recognize the former celebrity. No matter how much the favela residents talk about how safe it is, and no matter how much the cartel members describe themselves as Robin Hoods, almost everyone here wants their children to leave as soon as possible.
Do you have children? May I ask you?
I got 3 and a wife, man.
Do you think your children will be part of the gang too?
No, I'd like a different future for them. I'd do anything for that. I want them to have a different future. I want their future to be different to mine.
They don't have other option if there is always a gang.
They will. To work, to study, to become a decent member of society. They'll have opportunities I've never had in my life.
Do you have family?
I do.
What do you think your children will be soldados too?
No. My kids live in another state, far away from here, and I hope they don't repeat my life.
But there's a whole other Brazil, you guys. Away from the bustling cities, this country has an incredibly beautiful nature. I traveled north to Recife to try the main local delicacy. But first, you have to catch it. Okay, you guys, we're in the suburbs of Recife, and we're going on some kind of a crazy hunt. I was invited to it by Arseni. He's been living in Brazil for a few years now, and a Brazilian named Pablo.
We're heading into the mangrove forest to collect crabs. If in Russia, say, in the northern latitudes, one of the main pastimes is to gather mushrooms and berries, here it's gathering crabs. Yeah, they're edible, it's profitable. Each crab costs 3 reals. 3 reals is 60 cents, so we're gonna make some money.
This is the first time I'm going into the woods to collect crabs. I've never done that before. In my mind, crabs are something that you catch in the sea, or they're little crabs running around on the beach. But these crabs live in the forest. Not just any forest, but a mangrove forest. It is flooded with water at high tide, and after the tide gets low, the crabs crawl out. The mangrove forest is, of course, incredibly picturesque. It's basically a swamp with these roots sticking out of it, intertwined with each other. It's as if you're in a fairy tale, like a truly fairy tale forest walking through a magical tunnel.
So a few words about the Brazilian monkeys. Some monkeys here are better mannered than humans. They don't rob you, they don't bite you, they don't steal, they don't hit on you. This is not Thailand. These cute furry monkeys are so memeish, they're the cutest of all. They're sometimes better mannered than humans. Look at this beauty.
Pablo, you're stuck. Okay, you guys, I guess we're gonna have to leave one behind. The only downside to hunting like this is that it's incredibly dirty. The crabs are buried in wet mud, and sometimes you're more than knee-deep in it. And at first, I thought it was impossible to catch crabs here. I'm not going any further.
Oh, look, we found one. Get a close-up on him.
Oh, wow, it's big. Look at how big it is.
Now we have to try to catch it. First catch, nice.
There you go, guys. We caught our first crab. Arseni somehow saw it.
Yeah.
And grabbed it.
Let's keep going. This is just the beginning, phase 1.
So tell me, in Brazil, are there any rules about who can and can't grab these things? Like what you can hunt? Like, can we officially harvest these crabs?
I don't know. It's a free country, you can do anything.
In fact, it's forbidden to harvest crabs from January to April when they have their mating season. We do it after that, for the record. In general, red mangrove crabs, as well as the mangrove forests themselves, are unfortunately gradually disappearing. It is believed to be due to global warming. However, their population is still tens of millions of individuals around the world who migrate from time to time. The most famous crab parade is organized in Australia, where every year a whole horde of crabs moves to Christmas Island to leave their offspring there.
Here, look. You got it? You got it. You got it. It bites so hard.
Did it bite you?
You bit my finger.
At some point, Pablo started covering himself in mud. He says it's so the crabs won't smell him and to keep the mosquitoes from biting him. Pablo must be going back to his roots by now. He's using clay to protect himself from the mosquitoes. But I guess that's how you do it. That's how you get into the woods. And nature awakens your instincts.
What? El Indio, a native. An hour from now, he's gonna be walking around with this leaf covering his loins and everything. Yeah.
So tell me, how did you get into all of this anyway? I mean, Brazil, how long have you lived here?
Almost 2 years in Brazil.
And why Brazil?
Because it's the best country for childbirth. And after living here for 2 years, I'll tell you that it's one of the best countries to live in.
A child born in Brazil is automatically entitled to citizenship, and so are the parents. The Brazilian passport is considered one of the best reputed in the world. It gives visa-free entry to more than 170 countries. And that is why people come here to have children, and Arseny helps them get settled in the new country. So look, I realize that you're married. You're not supposed to say it, but your wife won't watch this, will she? I just want to know, is it true that Brazilian girls are really hot?
Hey, I mean, I heard from the cab drivers. They say they are.
Yeah, okay, so rumor has it. But what do they say?
Rumor has it cab drivers say yeah. Especially the closer you get to the equator, the hotter it gets. So come to Recife. You just have to find the prettiest one here, and she'll be such a fire that she'll just burn you down.
We took the crabs first to a local restaurant to have them cooked, and then we went to a boat for dinner. Anyway, you guys, we've got the crabs already cooked. All that's left is to take this boat, go to the most beautiful place, and eat it all there.
I want to do that to you. Let me show him.
No, I'm married. Let's go.
Well, goodbye then. You'll regret it. Bye, handsome.
Anyway, as we were leaving,
they tried to pick us up.
Brazilian girls tried to pick us up, you know? You can't eat crab in peace.
They won't let us eat dinner.
Everybody just wants to have sex, damn it.
Piece of cake.
Yeah, I can see that.
It's easy for you to get laid around here. That's what Brazilian girls are like.
You wish that you'd kissed her already, right?
Nah. My balls are more precious to me than kissing some chick.
And that is a loyal husband, you guys. We had to open the crabs with an anchor, but that didn't stop us. All right, you guys, we're eating forest crabs. Of course, they're not the same ones we caught, I'll be honest. We obviously asked the restaurant to cook them for us, and then they added the normal ones because we caught something ridiculous, apparently. Oh, you guys. There's not much to eat here. I can honestly tell you. There's hardly anything to eat. It's mostly juice. Oh. Well, there's some meat, sure. But you know what? You go into the woods, you pick your own crabs, you get your boots full of mud, and then you stand in a mangrove forest at sunset on a boat and eat crabs. Isn't that worth it? So you see what's so cool about Brazil. You've got huge megacities. You've got the ocean. You've got lakes. You've got mangrove forests. You've got jungles. You've got rivers. You've got lakes. You've got waterfalls. And it's all in the same general vicinity.
Brazil is half a continent. It's kind of like Russia, you know? A huge country, only with jungles, and it's warm.
Recife used to be a dangerous city too, but now it's one of the local tourist centers. Many wealthy Brazilians and foreigners buy summer houses here, for which they build such luxurious villages and condominiums with restricted access territories, swimming pools, private beaches, and golf courses. So you guys, do you know what is real luxury in Brazil? Now, I want to check it out first and then tell you. But anyway, I'm in one of the most expensive apartment complexes in Recife. And here is this pool. And can you believe it? They made, let me try it. Yeah, they made it heated. The average annual temperature here, just to be clear, is 30 degrees Celsius. A heated pool. I mean, just in case, you know, to be like on the safe side.
Initially, when I was coming here, I thought that this is the most important thing. But when I got here, whatever. I honestly don't care if they don't give me a passport. I'm happy that I came here because Brazil has changed me. And I feel different now. I'm happier. I've become like relaxed or something. And really, here you get to live your life. The Brazilian vibe is indescribable. You have to feel it for yourself.
Brazil really leaves its mark on those who have been here forever. Divinely beautiful nature, vivid emotions, thrills, and delicious, juicy food. But what do you think of this country? I always reply to your comments myself. Don't forget your likes and subscribes, but we're moving on.